We need to talk about this Klein CPS situation because it's genuinely insane. And I want to preface the rest of this by saying you may have noticed this year that we've largely kind of stepped away from things that could be deemed drama in the community. There's so many things in the world right now being torn down, set on fire. We've really tried to pivot and focus on most of those things. But this, it's not drama. It rises above. Right? And so for those unfamiliar, Klein is a longtime YouTube creator, very big podcaster. And while this story is heavily centered on a video that he posted yesterday, the actual story goes back a little bit further than that. Because Ethan first said that CPS, Child Protective Services, visited his house during an H3 podcast episode on Friday, explaining.
An anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses.
With Ethan then going on to say that a CPS agent had to visit their house, talk to both he and his wife, Hila, look around the home, see the kids, and the agent eventually needs to return to interview the kids because of the call. And then after that, he went into more detail on that incident, the context around it, and what he believes is the root issue in a video that he posted yesterday titled, "This is so fucked up."
Not only have they called CPS on us, now they're starting to try to call in a 5150 to get me committed. It's really gone on too far, and at this point, I'm ready to take no prisoners, take the gloves off, and call out everybody who needs to be called out. The thing is, once you target my children, then a line's been crossed that cannot be walked back.
With Ethan noting that while he held nothing against the CPS agent who visited their house because he was just doing his job, he still found the whole ordeal to be invasive and overwhelming.
He's called the pediatrician that takes care of the kids. He talked to them, pretty much sifted through every angle of our life having to do with our kids in an extremely violating, insulting, unbelievable way. You can't believe that you, as somebody who has done nothing wrong, has taken care of your kids, to be subject to this forcible investigation because of some freaks online.
And as far as who did this, he said that his digging brought him to Snark subreddits, with the first one being dubbed H3 Snark, though it looks like it's now moved over to a new page called H3H3_Productions. And for those that don't know, a Snark page or subreddit is essentially devoted to criticizing or making fun of that topic, right? There are general Snark pages for calling out influencers, ones about not liking certain celebrities, and it goes on. And so an H3 Snark page would be anti-H3, anti-Ethan and Hila, and Ethan doesn't think that Reddit's doing enough about this overall problem. But also, he thinks that major creators are allowing them to thrive.
The problem is that this subreddit, this community, is being legitimized by creators such as Hasan, such as Denims, such as Mike from PA, and all these leftist commentators who think they can get one up on me by sicking and participating and legitimizing the most crazed psychopaths on the internet.
Right, with Ethan specifically accusing Hasan and other creators of, at the very least, minimizing what the subreddit has done, and at one point appearing to suggest that Hasan's fans were responsible for the CPS call and other targeted harassment towards him. And that, as Hasan and Ethan have been at odds for a long time now. They're former friends, former podcast hosts, and there are a lot of recent tensions that are tied to their opposing views around the war in Gaza. Their relationship and the fallout, it's long and storied. But going back to Ethan's video, he then went on into more context as to why the CPS call specifically accused him of letting his kids eat feces off the floor, and he showed a stream from the beginning of the month where a creator by the name of Denims reacted to a creator by the name of Bad Empanada.
The house is just like covered in dog shit, and he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it.
How is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit.
With Ethan also pointing out that the chat was encouraging CPS to be called, but also Ethan said that the idea that his kids eat feces, it's been taken out of context from a story that he told around a month ago. Right, and that because he previously talked about how his dog had an infection that caused it to have diarrhea, and then their baby, who's crawling around the house all the time, also started having diarrhea, so they assumed that the baby might have caught the dog's infection. Right, not from eating the dog's poop, but from constantly touching or licking any surface that the dog and its shedding fur came into contact with. So there, you had Ethan saying that it turned out that the baby didn't actually have the same infection as the dog, just some general baby diarrhea, but that's also where the whole notion started, with Ethan adding.
And that's why they called CPS. Because my 10-month-old baby, who's just starting to eat solid food, had diarrhea.
In the video, we then see Ethan go on to post a story from the creator, Bad Empanada, where he claimed he was behind the CPS call and then accused Hasan of supporting him and other streamers who feed into this snark. In there, accusing other creators like Denims of being insensitive about how serious the CPS call was and pointing to a moment where Denims said it wouldn't impact his kids because they're so young.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old. There's a wide variation across, about the mean, across methods, cohorts. The average
age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3.
You literally just read out of your mouth that the average adult starts forming memories at 3. What is happening? Her defense for sending the CPS to break up our family and to interrogate our 3 and 5-year-old is that, don't worry, kids don't remember stuff.
But then from that, Ethan goes on to focus on how he thinks that Snark pages at large have just gone too far. He's saying that they knowingly spread false rumors, accusing the mods of doxing his office, and adding,
Has Reddit done anything, despite us complaining, making noise, reaching out for the past 2 years about this Snark community?
with him going on to say that not only has Reddit not helped, but he believes they're protecting these Snark groups. And that in part because he's tried to get these pages taken down, but that's resulted in no long-term success. And this is other major creators have been able to get them removed for harassment, so he thinks there's a double standard, with him also explaining.
This is one of my favorite examples. We made a subreddit called Snark to make fun of Snark subreddits in general. And the community was actually starting to pick up steam and become pretty active. Well, it was removed. Why was it removed? For harassment.
With Ethan then claiming that the community is reopened, but the new moderator was also a moderator for one of the H3 Snark pages. And with that, arguing that these platforms are protecting people who go after it.
So here we are, where it's acceptable to call child protective services on people as an act of political protest on a website, Reddit, in which they do not care. They protect it, they enable it. At what point has this gone too far? And how much worse can it get before something is done about it?
Right, and as far as the reaction to that video, I mean, if you go into the comments, you have a lot of people agreeing with him that it's just gone too far, that targeting children is not okay. Right, and that sentiment appearing to come from both people that support him as well as people who have historically not liked him. Folks writing things like, regardless of people's opinions on Ethan, you would think everyone could agree that getting CPS involved is unhinged. Others focusing on the fact that whoever called CPS diverted resources away from someone who may have actually needed them. Though then all of that, while on the opposite side of the internet, including on some of those Snark pages, you have people questioning the validity of Ethan's CPS story. You then also had some people that Ethan called out responding, or Bad Empanada posting these on his Instagram story, but then also calling out Ethan, saying that he encourages his fans to go after his ops online and reveals their personal information too. Additionally, you had Hasan reacting on stream to the claim that his fans were behind the CPS call by saying,
"Why in the ever-loving would I ever do that, or even one of my fans would ever do that?" He said that? Is there a thing that happens on the planet to Ethan that I am not responsible for? Let me tell you why I would never do that. Because I'm not Ethan Klein, okay? That's right. I would never in a million years entertain such a thing. Never, ever, ever. The fact that people have done that is also insane. I don't know who did it. I don't know what they did. But the notion that, like, I would ever entertain that is insane. It's pure projection. It's quite literally projection. I have not done a fraction of what he has done to me.
with Hasan then saying that he's made it clear that he thinks Snark pages are problematic. Right, he ended up echoing a lot of that in a statement to us today, writing, "I think random people calling CPS on a content creator is insane. It's completely unacceptable. I assume he has nannies and maids to take care of the kids when he's working. Wasting government resources and possibly freaking out little kids of a YouTuber you don't like is gross behavior. I hope Ethan and his family are okay." Now, ultimately, as a recording, that is where we are. Of course, keep in mind with the people that we're talking about being content creators, it's moving at the speed of the internet. But for now, what I want to do is say, that is a story, that's the news. I'd love to know your thoughts. And I do want to share a bit of my opinion here. I can't speak to the back and forth between Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker, or any of these other creators involved. But what I can say is that to call CPS to harass a creator or someone you do not like is genuinely fucking insane. It is disgusting. It is wrong. It's not just a waste of government resources. I would argue this is just a different version of trying to swat someone. If someone gets swatted, you want to harass, you want to scare them. Worst case scenario, someone gets fucking killed. If someone knowingly calls CPS to harass, they're trying to harass you. They're trying to scare you. And then worst case scenario, the system is fucked and you lose your family. And I'd want to see the people responsible for fake CPS calls punished in a similar fashion to swatting calls. I mean, how many stories have we covered over the years where there are children that are genuinely being abused and mistreated and need help, and you're fucking taking resources away because you want to harass a YouTuber? That's not warranted. It doesn't get validated or get a pass whether I like the person or I fucking hate the person. Ultimately, that is the story. And then separately, my opinion. And then of course, I'd love to know your thoughts in those comments down below. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show. And also, a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/Phil, or use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple, no coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/Phil, or scan the QR code on screen and use code Phil for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/Phil.